Simple way, if you're within any organization and you're looking to add value, is to look at executing LinkedIn lead generation. So I want to briefly offer you the insight as to why you should do it, irrespective of your position. If you can bring new business to any company that you're involved in, you'll immediately be able to distinguish yourself as being someone of higher caliber, higher value. And the irony is, it isn't that hard to do with enough focus and intention. I have historically generated leads consistently at a time in my career where it was pertinent. And the time allocation to do that was probably 15 minutes a day. And I now, there are people that I know personally that are making several £100,000 a year of closed retained business money in the bank just through LinkedIn lead generation. So the opportunity is big, and there's people that are doing beyond that, no doubt, I'm sure. And the cost to do it is crazy. It's low. There's no real cost. It's again just a question of desire and prioritizing your time. And I think that with something like this, because there's such an inverse correlation with the ultimately time investment to projected value, that it's nonsensical to not do it. So when it comes to LinkedIn lead generation, what I want to communicate to anyone who's listening, first of all, is just to raise it to a higher level of consciousness, because some of the things I'm going to tell you aren't going to be terribly mind-blowing, but the real point that I want to communicate is that you should fucking do it, because optimizing a LinkedIn profile, producing LinkedIn status updates, connecting with relevant decision makers, and then waiting for an inbound lead flow, as well as doing outbound messaging, whether it's automation or manual, to strike up conversations to drive relational value before you just go for the booked call, are things that aren't, if you know anything about outreach, new to you. Now, there is devil in the detail, but the important thing to communicate is that you just must get started. And all of those things can be done with a level of focus within a couple of hours. Now, the quality of the input is, and then therefore the outcome is a function of, to begin with, the time you allocate towards it. So I speak about 15 minutes a day. In the first instance, it might take you 6 hours to figure out all of these quirks. But then you can begin to aggressively reduce the time allocation once you tweak and figure out ultimately what works and what doesn't. So LinkedIn is huge. You can generate an inbound lead flow as well as lead flow from outbound messaging. And that is something that you should do. So the mechanics beyond that are really a question of, if you're watching and you've got other responsibilities and all these other things, just a question of self-organization. Update your LinkedIn profile. Have a look at other relevant industry benchmarks for top performance for LinkedIn. Decide on your niche, whether you want to practically, now I speak a little bit to my team. Are you going to go after a UK market? Are you going to go after the US? Who are we going to target? Maybe we're going to target marketing directors. Maybe we're going to target sales directors, since we're going to be offering, for example, outbound lead generation services. We typically tend to work with potential sales teams, as well as any fundamentally chief marketing directors that think that their team that doesn't have a sales team needs an outbound marketing function. And then based upon that, once you begin to connect with these relevant decision makers and maybe send them interesting information, you also engineer really interesting status updates. Now, the challenge with it, of course, also is that there's an upfront cost before the value comes. So from the day that you start outreach, you need to expect there to be a 8-week lag before you start seeing any inquiries coming in, because you build up your network, you build up the value, but the management of it should be relatively nominal once you've got the process going. So if you're watching this, it's a real simple message, because a lot of the work you can do, and I will have LinkedIn training that exists on my YouTube that you can look towards. It might not be released yet. I know that it's already in the can in terms of the content being produced, but just get on the LinkedIn journey. Optimize your LinkedIn profile to the best of your ability. Produce status updates that are relevant to your niche to the best of your ability. Identify your target market to the best of your ability, and then do what's required technically to begin the outreach. There's many automation tools. We at Pearl Lemon, of course, have our own suite of tools. We at Pearl Lemon, of course, will manage all of the payment side of the LinkedIn outreach so that you don't need to incur any cost. So really, the only cost is time, and the value anyway in learning that LinkedIn lead generation process is massive. So think about the value you can generate, set aside some time to ideate so that you can figure out all of the steps in your own mind, plan it out, and then just execute. Just kind of get on with it and build your own pipeline. And if you do that, you can again get towards that journey of becoming indispensable. And it's just a stone's throw away. So begin your LinkedIn journey, begin it now. I've got content on it. There's a lot of content that's out there, but the fundamentals are far simpler than you think. But it's just a case of, as ever, making an appointment with yourself to sit the fuck down and figure out all of these things, many of which you probably have a fundamental idea of anyway. So get started.